Close it, probably.
That's right, we can't close it. You guys are here for the duration. There's Sully, he's coming. He's not on Brewer, though.
One, two, three.
We got enough?
Yeah, we got
We got enough?
Yep.
Good.
I don't know why this won't.
Okay, this meeting will come to order. This is the Washington Area Highway Transportation Committee. It is Monday, October 28th, 2019. And Gina, can you give us a roll call, please?
Craig Miller,
Here.
Ed Fisher,
Here.
Judy, Stephen O'Connor,
Here.
Ray Frankenberg,
Here.
Bob Engerman, Bill Stratman.
Here.
Mayor Lucy, Joe Holtmeyer, Danny Cassett, Albia Eckelkamp, Bill Miller.
Here.
Tim Brinker.
Here.
Steve Selenchuk,
Here.
John Milches.
Here.
Please stand. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning on this rainy day. Welcome to all of our guests. We welcome you. Thank you for coming. It's good to see people interested in transportation. Very good. Thank you.
It's frustrating.
First item on the agenda is also always the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Everybody had a chance to review them?
Yes.
Any changes, corrections, additions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving through our agenda, the first item is always Amtrak. Steve?
I actually have some report today. I went to a MORPAC meeting October 16th with Emily Underdown, our tourism director with the city, as well. And we're joined by Aaron Griesheimer, our state rep. And he's apparently going to be taking over some of his father's role with transportation with regards to the state, which is kind of nice to have a local voice there as well. So I probably heard more about trains than I ever expected to hear about trains, but it was interesting and informative for sure. Emily says she's going to be able to provide to us, which I don't know if you used to get those in the packets or not, but just like basic data about our train and ons and offs on a monthly basis. I can give them to us so we can see, but it's, 500-600 people that are getting on and off, maybe, each month. So it's interesting data, and if you like, I can add those to our packets. At the MORPAC meeting, they talked about just overall Amtrak statewide, that whole track or that stuff being down by almost 10%. We had 41 lost days of train travel due to flooding. That was, I guess, the number one piece of discussion there. And they're looking at raising some rates in this upcoming year to help kind of offset that because they're operating in a deficit currently. So they're going to kind of work towards that. They said maybe a 5 to 10% increase, which on the highest price ticket coming one way or the other, they said would be like a $3 or $6 increase. So not a major thing, but it would certainly help them be financially stable. We got some new cars coming, passenger cars apparently. They're new cars to us, but refurbished cars out of California. They're hopeful to arrive in 2021. Talked a lot about late trains, which was due a lot to Union Pacific. Their representatives were not at the meeting, which was both good and bad. I guess we got to talk about them while in their absence. But one of the biggest deals that we have with late trains here in Washington, it has to do with Union Pacific is doing some things to try to help move more traffic, and they're creating longer and longer trains. A lot of these trains are so long they're unable to pull aside when Amtrak trains are trying to pass them. Amtrak train is supposed to take precedence and drive through. Some of these trains are getting so long that they can the sidings aren't long enough for them to pull over and let them pass. So whatever may happen, then they're absolutely stuck behind them. So that was an issue that we discussed at length without really a resolution. I guess the hopeful resolution coming forward is that they do see some federal legislation coming we can't, as a state, regulate train traffic from the carriers. They're regulated federally, and they are hopeful that they may see some of that on the books, maybe in these upcoming sessions, that would put some teeth into helping them stay on time for passenger rail. And I think that was most of what we discussed at that MORPAC meeting.
It's good to be represented, isn't it? It's good to be there to represent the town, quite honestly, and the area.
Yes, absolutely. It was very interesting to me to see all the other, there's 13 stops, I think, on that River Runner, and there were some other people there, to see the differences between Washington. We were very blessed with a nice train station and a nice stop for everybody and places to go right off the tracks, which isn't necessarily true at a lot of those stops. So.
Very good. Any questions, comments?
I would find it interesting to see that monthly report, just to,
Yeah, I spoke with Emily. We'll try to get those before so we can get them into the packets and you guys can review them before we get here.
Very good. Thanks, Greg. Thank you. Moving on, Highway 47, Missouri River Bridge.
Yeah, the 47 road project, the asphalt work is done. They're finishing the sidewalk construction and cutting signal loops in the pavement. And on the bridge, the water keeps coming up, so they're falling about 2 weeks further behind, so we pushed the date back to December 17th. But the asphalt work is done. They're going to restripe in the next couple of weeks to transition better to the bridge, and they need to remove the cofferdam so they can finish the bike trail at the Warren County end. And that's all I've got.
Really? That's good. That's good. And the trailway, the bike path, whatever, that's going to be completed yet
They're hoping to get it done by December
by
17th.
17th?
They need the water to drop so they can remove the cofferdam, so they can get in and
Yeah.
do more work on the Warren County
Right.
end of the bridge.
Anything new on Warren County from, for the trail on the other side? Anything? Okay.
Have you got all of the old bridge out of the water now?
I'm not sure.
No,
I don't believe.
I'm not sure.
They don't have?
No, there's
still
no.
have 2 bends in they got to take out,
That's right.
one on each side.
What?
Huh?
To what?
2 bends.
Uprights.
Upright.
Bends, we call them, yeah.
Remember that name?
Do I remember that name? I don't know. Benz.
Ben's,
Bents, yeah. Some people call them piers, but they call them bents when they're in the water, correct?
so all the metal, the overstory's out.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Very good. You taught me a new word, Steve. I don't know. Do I?
Well, they're on the ground, I think they're called piers, but when they're in the water, I think they're
They're
called
called
bents.
Benz. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I did know that. I knew that. Okay.
You're right.
Anything on Highway 47? Anything new?
no.
The Corridor Committee, 47 Corridor Committee?
We've not met. I know maybe Commissioner Brinker has some additional information with the union, but the actual committee has not met in quite some time.
Right. Discussions are progressing at a pace that is unlike previous discussions in terms of addressing the interchange at Union with 47 and 50. The preliminary design and layout, I should say just layout, is where it's going to go on a map is there. It's going to be a dual lane roundabout by design, and it's going to be 3 entry / ingress egress points on that roundabout with an expressway that goes from that roundabout that is located just south of Old County Farm Road and go east and join up, make a plus sign with 47 and 50 at the Quick Trip intersection there. So the modeling indicates that it will be able to handle the traffic not only that exists today, but for at least 3 to 4 decades to come. And that's a good thing to see in terms of green light modeling from a traffic flow perspective. Once that is addressed and implemented, then it will be time, years down the road, to look at the legs, which one to do first, and et cetera, and prioritize those. The engineer and I went to Steve's office, MoDOT, on Friday and had a discussion with getting MoDOT's blessing on the project, and we're hoping for a positive letter of response from them so we can proceed and submit the application that's due any day now, within a week or so. They want to get it in, at which time, if we, and the question was asked at the meeting by the City of Union that no one participate in is it, I always get the acronyms confused, but CMAQ funds?
CMAQ, correct.
Federal funding that
Congestion
everybody can
mitigation.
abstain for 1 year, so that there's a there was a policy that if within any given county or jurisdiction, only one entity applies, they are automatically awarded. So that's what we are doing here, in the hopes that everybody can abstain for this 1 year in 2020 for application. It looks like we have full participation at this point, and looking forward to being able to do that and get that award for federal money. And when that happens, we'll be able to truly proceed, and, you know, it's exciting. And it's, you know, perhaps potentially a 2-decade saving time frame here on getting that issue resolved, or at least started to get resolved. But that's where that is.
That's great. That's a great idea. We tried to do that one time before on a Bend Road Bridge Pacific area. Couldn't get everybody, nobody really thought it could be done. But we knew we could have had we gotten agreement between all the entities. And it's a great way for the entities to work together on a project.
Absolutely.
Much like, you know, the monies that was shared for local transportation for the local cities and towns, $250,000 the 1 year went towards helping to get the new bridge initiative moving forward, quite honestly. So,
Yeah, we just had a budget meeting with our highway department on Wednesday, last week, and I made the first appropriation proposal for $300,000 to go toward the county's $2 million match potential for this project. One thing that our administration is committed to is helping infrastructure projects throughout this county with the transportation dollars we have and we generate. And we share those willingly with projects that are obviously justified, and this is indeed a justified scope of
Yes.
project. So we are all in, and we're partnering with the City of Union to resolve this countywide issue and beyond. So hopefully this goes to where we want it to go.
Is the entire expressway going to be dual lane?
No, the expressway will not, it'll be 2 12-foot lanes and 2 8-foot shoulders.
yeah.
And the modeling indicates that it's going to be a 30-40 lifespan minimal for the flows that could be generated potentially, so.
Are they going to get right of way where it could be a 4-lane highway at one time?
That's a fair question, I don't know, Bill, yeah.
Well, we've come a long way. I mean, a year ago, we were trying to come up with enough money to get a study done for environment.
Right, and that was the key, that everybody participated in that Lockmiller Group study, identifying the corridors and the best paths with which to choose, and that's what this path is, one of those priority paths, if you will, and so we all started the ball rolling then. It was the disheartening gasp of air that we had when we heard 2042
Yeah.
on the illustrative plan. We're like, what? Because it's an issue now, you know, obviously. So,
Well, thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, thank you all. To MoDOT, we ask you good luck. We're all counting on you. Steve, thank you.
This will be your big Franklin County project.
Yeah, we expect miracles. Tim, I'm sure your people are in transportation are familiar with the new Routes program, federal program for funding.
Is that what you just emailed me the other?
ROUTES.
Yes, sir.
Great. Rural Opportunities to Use Transportation for Economic Success. Routes.
That's long.
I checked with MoDOT's offices, and that they say probably what's going to happen is this will be a bump up in the project. The projects will get bumped up and be filled maybe 2 to 3 years sooner, rather than be an initiative to put on a new project.
Calendar a bit, yeah.
Right. No, but this is the kind of stuff that now, this was announced, nobody knew anything about this program. Came out of the blue, and it basically has got the rural areas, our names on it, quite honestly, to take projects. And again, had we not done the work we did with the Lockmiller Group, and had this study done, and had it at the process where it's at, now is when you can just tie right into this. That's the reason that when I saw it, I said, boy, this is a natural for, not only for Franklin County, but also for Warren County. I think I shot one over to the Warren County people. Again, you got to get your foot in the door with transportation, because it's always long-term. You never know where some money's going to come from. And this is a good example. This is another good one. So,
Good.
anyway, I know you're familiar with it because I copied you on it and I copied
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Warren County too, so, anyway. Any other comments or questions regarding?
Yeah, Highway 47 from Washington Union, hoping the planning is going to be for a 4-lane highway.
I think that was always planned, but it could have been well, they were talking at one time like a super two, but that really, it's grown already. I've noticed traffic since a lot of increase in the traffic just from where I live. And I live somewhere between Washington and Union off of 47. So I have to come into Washington on 47, I go home on 47. A lot more traffic in the last 6 months or less.
Well, when they studied the different options, I thought they were studying for a 4-lane highway.
They were.
And
They were.
and it still is.
It still is.
Quite candidly, when you get to that point at that interchange, you'll find that the eastbound traffic will indeed go east or south, east on 50 or south on 47 through the Quick Trip. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot to Union going west, 50 to Jeff City or what have you, coming that way just by nature. There's no diminishing of an opportunity for 4 lanes between Washington Union and Union St. Clair. This interchange, though, resolves the need through there because essentially it is 4 lanes when you get to the roundabout going south to 250 and then the expressway will be able to handle that traffic, believe it or not, going to 50 eastbound or 47 south. So the 4 lanes you speak of between Washington and Union has not been eliminated by any
No, not.
When you
not
say the
in-
expressway, where is that section? I hadn't heard that term
That's
before.
the new proposal.
That's the proposal.
What we're gonna build. It's gonna
From the
be a
roundabout.
Dual-lane roundabout.
From where?
South of Old County Farm Road, where UPS comes on 47 now.
Okay,
Dual-lane roundabout there with a 3-point interchange there. The southbound from Washington, expressway that jumps off the roundabout and goes and adjoins southbound 47 at Quick Trip and makes it a perfect square intersection. Right now, it's just a T, right? And you gotta go left on 50 and then back on 47. So, and then the third point of access will obviously be 250 where it exists currently.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see the actual architectural, what that's going to actually look like. And
Yeah, no.
we have a vision of what it could look like, and it's going to have to all be elevated probably over the river and the bottom there.
1,000-foot bridge that spans the Burbus.
Basically, it's like a Missouri River crossing, almost, lengthwise. Is it a mile? Is it a mile?
Well, the entire length of it is just under 1 mile.
Yeah,
The bridge is 1,000 feet of that.
yeah.
Again, we're a long way away, but we're
Exciting.
further than we were.
That's right.
Yeah.
And these programs, we have to keep our eyes open and watch this stuff comes available. And it was just announced, 3 weeks ago?
Right.
In St. Louis, as a matter of fact, to MoDOT, at a MoDOT meeting, so, anyway.
Thank you.
Anything else on the corridor committee, Franklin County Transportation Committee?
Yeah, we met last Thursday to discuss the current round of the transportation grants at Franklin County. It's a competitive grant process. There were approximately $390,000 locally that were available to the local municipalities and road districts, and there was $325,000 available. So there was a higher need, or higher requested need than what was available. And we all, it's a competitive situation to where you'd score each individual request. Over the past 3 to 4 years, we've actually tried to spread the money out rather than choose one project. And we chose to do so again. The Washington Special Road District received approximately $76,000, City Pacific $75,000, Union $25,000, Union again $43,000. $25,000 of that was actually going to the corridor study. City of St. Clair $50,000, and City of New Haven $50,000. Now, Washington did not put in an application this year. There is a cap, a 4-year, I believe. I think it's a 4-year running cap that you can only request X amount of dollars over so many years, and we've essentially met that cap, so we made a decision to not put in an application this year. Typically, what we do is we utilize those dollars we leverage them for federal funds. So we'll take the money, approximately 50 grand is what we typically request, and then we go for STP type type money to offset that and to increase the amount of revenue coming in to get a project done. So that was kind of the bulk of the discussion. There was some also discussion regarding, and Commissioner Brinker kind of hit on it, a request to refrain from CMAQ and STP requests from the municipalities. There was, first time I've heard of it, first time I think a lot of us heard of that. So there was some good discussion. Overall, I felt that the committee supported that. So I know we have not discussed that here or with the mayor or anybody here in Washington or the council, but overall, the staff or that committee felt that that was a wise decision or a reasonable request.
Very good. Thanks, John.
What's that? Oh, yeah, yes. And so we also look, so there's a project, Front Street. Obviously, we have our ADA transition plan for a couple years now. And the concept of that is that you get additional, since it's all competitive, you get additional points to have that transition plan in place. Washington is one of very few that has that in place. I think we're the only one in Franklin County besides Berger, I believe, has one. There's obviously pretty small. But the strategy there was that if we get this ADA transition plan, which we do have in place, we would then leverage that to get as many of these STP type projects done as fast as we could, because we're kind of we have an advantage over the individuals that do not have that ADA transition plan in place. So when this request came through to not go for CMAQ or STP, that obviously concerned because it counters kind of what we've been trying to do here in town. The next project in line that we were looking at doing was Front Street, an overlay of Front Street and replacing all the sidewalks and all the aprons on Front Street to make them ADA compliant. That could be funded out of STP, or that could be funded out of what's called TAP, which is Transportation Alternative Program. It's how we got our Bush Creek Greenway money. I don't know if anyone, the Bush Creek Greenway is connecting essentially the school or the school complex to Jefferson Street and so on and so forth. But TAP is not part of the CMAQ and STP funding, so that's important for us because it really, the concern that I have was if we use this all of our money, we can't put in an application to do anything on Front Street, but we can try to go for a TAP grant instead, which kind of eliminates that concern. So once that funding becomes available, which it is typically in the fall, I've not seen the application come out, but once it becomes available, that's what we'll be going for. But this request from the county and essentially all of us kind of coming together for CMAQ and STP does not affect that Front Street funding, which is important.
Good. Any questions?
Sorry, a lot to get there, but
Yeah. Any questions?
two different pots of money, essentially.
This would follow the power lines coming down first.
Correct. That project would follow the power line, so the utility burial on Front Street. Obviously, there's a lot of utility cuts with all the work going on, so the idea would be is that immediately after that, then we would run it, we would follow up with a project to repave all of Front Street and redo all the sidewalks. So it actually, schedule works out very well.
John, and all the highway, sidewalk work that's being done along Highway 47, is that MoDOT?
That's a MoDOT, yes.
It's a MoDOT program, so that's all happening. How close is that to being finished?
They're looking to wrap it up. I mean, I put in here that the asphalt's done, they're finishing the sidewalk, and cutting in the signal loops. So, I mean, they're definitely gonna try to get done.
Yeah, they're working on it today in the rain, so
Yeah.
that's part of it.
The city's been coordinating with MoDOT on, we'll get some different cost savings and some things to eliminate some fencing and guardrail along the right-of-way, along our park. So MoDOT's been great to work with on coordinating those things.
So now you've got sidewalks all the way down to Studerman and the other direction on 100. Is there any sidewalks?
As far as on MoDOT, on
Yes.
47 right-of-way, I think they added, it's kind of broken. There was some asphalt shoulders that they essentially replaced with sidewalk. And it was kind of mixed. It's not all the way down the corridor. It's in varying locations throughout the corridor. And there's actually a bike path and a larger shoulder, I think, in some of the areas where sidewalks were not added. So, I think that's
Well,
probably
that's
how
why I
the
was curious.
decision-making
There's
process.
spots that,
I think it stops at 14th Street.
is that where it stopped? Okay.
Isn't that right, Steve?
I'm not sure.
But that's going to finish the job as far as MoDOT's participation. They're just about finished with what they're doing. So-
They're about done.
So what you see is what we're going to get.
That, exactly.
That's the way it looks at it. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. What's the next one here? Franklin County Transportation Committee. You talked about that, John?
That's all I have.
Warren County? Joe? Eric? Either one of you? You don't have anything? Is anything happening with the causeway across the, on the north side? Nothing? You guys still got that on your agendas, I assume, for? It's on the RPC PAC list. Right, okay. Very good. Airport?
Yes, currently, the city has a request for qualifications for consultants out. Every 5 years, we have to republish that and essentially solicit consultants to do our work over at the airport. Our current consultant is CMT, and those are due on November 14th. So I think we've ran in the paper a couple times, posted on MoDOT's website if anyone's interested. But this would be for the next 5 years worth of capital projects consulting over at the airport.
And the movement of the rock from one of the job sites?
Yeah, and it's hinged on all MoDOT's schedule, essentially, or Alberici schedule. I think they relocated and stockpiled as much as they could with the river elevations the way they are. The causeway rock, I think, has to hit a river gauge height of less than 14 feet, which it hasn't been that.
So how many, what are we talking about? How much rock is in that hole?
They're estimating anywhere from 10,000 to 12,000 yards, cubic yards.
It's like 100 loads over there now, right?
Yeah, there's not.
And there isn't a place to put it yet, or hasn't been identified where it's going to go?
Yeah, there's a location in between. There was a borrow area when the third hangar was added in between the current apron and the taxiway. That was utilized as a borrow area for the third hangar. So that's been identified as a spot that it could potentially go in. It can definitely fit that amount. It's outside the building, or there's a building restriction line that you cannot put a building in there, but you can taxi in that area. So the idea would be is that you would build that essentially up to create a future pad or anything that you would do in the future. The old runway and old taxiway is actually elevated a little bit higher as well, so you could build off of that on both sides, elevate that area as well. So essentially the area can utilize as much as MoDOT has. Now the south side, it actually is planning to be stockpiled close to the water treatment plant, just for future city use. So it's a close haul for Alberici, and then we would utilize it for anything in the future.
For the audience, this is the rock that's they used to build the dikes with in order.
Correct. It's the causeway rock.
Causeway for the new bridge. They had to fill that all in order to slow the water down, I guess, in order to build the bridge, the piers and whatever. And now they have to take it out.
It has to be removed to existing condition, essentially what it was 4 years ago.
Yeah,
So-
basically we're looking at ways to utilize that rock, and they're anxious to have a place to get rid of it.
Correct. It's a close haul for them, and they were definitely looking for different options to take it, and this was just an opportunity that
Yeah.
MoDOT saw, and that we
Yeah.
agreed that would be a good chance for us to work together.
Very good.
And it's at no cost to the city, other than we would look at maybe renting some equipment to actually roll it in, and then test it just to make sure that it wasn't just being placed loosely. So it would be done in a controlled manner.
Anything else?
Bill,
Yes.
is there still interest or plans for the bike path connector on the periphery of the airport?
Need to come up to the microphone.
Yeah, come on up to the microphone, John.
Yeah, we can address that.
That's going to you, Steve.
Sorry about that. Is there plans or interest still in what the future holds for connecting the bike path once we go north on 47 and doing the periphery of the airport to the Katy Trail?
I think interest is definitely probably the right word. I mean, there's obviously interest to get connected to the Katy Trail, but I think Darren may report a little bit, but there may be a better location.
The concern has always been, I'll go. The concern has always been, if you use Highway 47, most bicyclists don't feel comfortable utilizing the shoulder of Highway 47. So the closer you can make that transition from when you get off the bridge over to the Katy Trail. Yeah. So that's why we've discussed, we continue to look at Augusta Bottom Road as a possibility. That would be the best. But there's no active committee that I'm aware of that's out there pursuing this. So, but that's, I think, a much more realistic option because it's got limited amount of time that you're on 47. So.
And the reason I brought up, because several months ago at one of these meetings, I know there was, someone brought it up then,
Yep.
and I hadn't been to a few of these meetings, unfortunately, but just wasn't sure what the updated status, if anything, was on
That's
that.
probably going to be one of the last things done by MoDOT to finish the new bridge, I'm guessing, is that under the north end to build that under the road and then.
Right. With the bottom row, would that involve any other properties, or is that something that you already have the right of way for through the airport or through the Augusta Bottom
I think
Road?
that's a question that's up in the air. I mean, we have to get the new bridge done, and I think the emphasis is going to be on the north end, and I think Warren County has got that in their master plan to try to do something about elevating that whole area, just like we had talked about a causeway when the river was up high. That has not gone away. That appeal for funding for that possibility hasn't gone away.
I think Judy said at one of the meetings a couple of months ago that the MoDOT has no funding for it.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
But that's in Boonslick Regional, that's outside of East-West Gateway, so that creates another problem. And you guys on the north side, Warren, St. Charles County, whatever, you guys are aware of it. You've seen it as a priority, as I understand, to do something. It would be great if we could get it done before the new bikeway is opened. Just for safety reasons is the only reason that I look at it. I mean, if we could do something safety-wise. There has been money for bike paths, in other communities, in other cities. And I think some of the monies that the bike paths get, I think, are tied to federal spending on transportation, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, they
There
are.
is some of that. Something has to be.
It just depends on some of it is, some of it's not, but correct.
Yeah.
That there is a portion of it that is tied to.
Anyway, I would hope that Warren County and that you guys would check on this routes program also, to see if there's any possibility of getting some funding, even if it's for doing a study or whatever, to get that out of the way, to get it started, to get your foot in the door with something. That probably is the biggest thing to get any money. You got to get the studies done. You got to have interest from the public. Once that's established and you start moving forward with ideas and hearings and whatever, then you can apply probably for stuff like this. I would hope that we could do something, maybe just a small grant to look at it or something as to what could be done for safety. And using some of that monies from the bike paths or whatever that was available when we built the new bridge, and that would be in, most of the bridges in Warren County, so I don't know how that money flows from. Steve, I don't know whether you could tell us.
I don't know.
I don't know either, so,
I don't know much about the bike trails beyond what's going on at the Washington Bridge.
okay. Okay.
And I think that, once that bridge is completed, those trails will be connected to the shoulder. So we're
Yes,
looking at a couple months for the
Yes, it's
bikers
not
to
that
be
far
able
away.
to cross the Missouri River at the bridge and get on the shoulder. And then the route would be to Highway 94 and into Dutso at the trail. There was, Kevin Creedy had offered, I think it was him, to chair a committee or put together a committee several months ago, maybe a year ago. Did anything ever happen with that at the city level?
Well, we've talked about it like numerous times, and then we kept getting closer. And the last time, and Kevin was here, I think, that day, when all of a sudden we kind of started steering towards Augusta Bottom Road a little bit. I mean, I think that's kind of it was, but we're kind of looking at all the options, I would say. We haven't formed a formal committee because we've been waiting for the bridge.
We did agree for Kevin to head the committee.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
But there was never a meeting.
Yeah.
We've never had a meeting.
We've
that
never
I'm
had a
aware of.
meeting, so. And now someone came by the other day and spoke to me briefly, Ralph. Have you talked to Ralph Femmer?
Come on up, Joe, to the podium if you got anything.
Well, I don't know if we have anything to report,
Okay.
but Ralph, Ralph was a gentleman who used to be involved with, thank you,
TrailNet.
with TrailNet. And he just came past one day and asked me what our thoughts were. And so he's kind of looking at how we could make this connection as well. It's all really pretty preliminary. So, anyway,
Well, I
because a
might-
lot of that would, but he has some ideas as well,
Very good.
so.
Joe, also, if in fact there's going to be traffic on that coming off of the bridge, whatever, in 2 months, something needs to be done with some striping or something. identifying that, where the bike path is now, or is gonna be, along Highway 47. Eric, yeah,
Put up some signs up there, that bicycle signs.
okay.
So I'll get with our traffic folks on that. As far as looking at a bike path in that area, everything we've done in our district
You've already
has
done it.
been on the local level. City of Warrenton is adding sidewalks up there. They applied for a cost share. They got approved for that. So they're going to build a sidewalk up on 47, but then they're going to maintain it. So, you know, trying to construct something out there is going to be the initiative of a county or of a group to bring forward and maintain, because we're in the position of not expanding our system right now.
Yeah.
But those are opportunities that can be looked at and some possibilities for
Well, I
the
think the
future.
right-of-way was expanded when you did some overlay or some refurbishing, or was it not? Wasn't it?
No.
Surface
Right
may
of-
have been, but
no.
not the right of
The
way.
right-of-way
Yeah,
was
we
not
added
accepted.
asphalt shoulders. They were aggregate shoulders, added asphalt shoulders as part of the bridge here for bicycle traffic along there.
Yeah. So it would seem prudent that we'd put some striping, if nothing else, and showing that it's a bicycle path, because we've got a bicycle path that leads to nowhere coming off of a $60 million
There'll be
bridge.
some signs up there, and
Will be?
I'll check
Okay.
with our traffic folks if
Okay.
there's anything additional that'll be added on there.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric. That'd be great. East-West Parkway, anything new?
No report?
Public transportation, any report? Getting down here to other business, Special
Yes.
Road District.
Good.
Ed, take it away.
Ed,
Is that me? Good.
Yes, you got it.
I just want to start out by saying I've been on the road district board for 22 years, and I'm not saying this to blow my own horn, but I'm saying this because of the continually good working relationship that we had with the city, and we hope that continues. There's a couple things that have been said that aren't quite right. And one is there is not a double tax because of the special road district. That's been insinuated, and it is not true. Everybody pays the same tax. It's directed differently. So we had they had a cost per mile of maintenance road, and they had us really out of line. I looked into that, and the reason was they put the cost of building a new road on Pottery Road, the section that we built, into the maintenance. And that is not maintenance, that's construction. So if you take that out, we're like the rest of them, and maybe we better. So we don't, none of the commissioners take any money, so we're not obligated to anybody. So there was some criticism about what we done on Pottery Road, that we took a county road and put curb and gutter. And I agree, probably 99% of the county roads don't want or need a curb and gutter. Pottery Road is quite differently. Pottery Road was a horse and buggy road. It's narrow, crooked, and now it handles a lot of traffic. So you have to give some to get some, and we wanted some right-of-way. And in order to get right-of-way, people, there's a lot of houses along Pottery Road, if you're familiar with it, that are as close to the road as a lot of houses in town. And people aren't going to go, and if you say, give us some easement right away, we'll put a new ditch in your front yard. They're just not going to go for that, and I wouldn't either. So we come up with the curb and gutter thing, and I think anybody that can't see that worked pretty darn good needs to get glasses or something. Because, and as far as I know, there's very few complaints, at least they don't complain to me about it, and it's worked out well. So actually with Pottery Road, the back section or the south section is not in the special road district. It's in the county. And the road district's been blading snow off of that since longer than Tim's been born. But, and at no cost or nothing. It would be stupid and just to stop when the road district ends, not go on to Highway A. And so we've always done that. And that's the working relationship that we've had with the city and with the county in the past, and we hope to keep it up. The whether or not to keep the special road district, I think should be up to the voters, be up to the people who are affected by it, who pays the taxes. You know, there's a good chunk of tax money there, and it's up to the voters, in my opinion, that the city over the years, since I've been on there, we've donated a lot to the city. We don't every year, because some years our expenses are different than other years, but we do. And I remember building a salt shed for the city and other things. So I don't know where the problem is, but anyway, if it comes down to it, I suggest that it should be the voters who pay the. It amounts to whether you want the bulk of the tax money decided by people in and around Washington, or if you wanted the bulk of the tax money from Washington decided in Union. And if they decide, they can spend it anywhere in the county. So I think we need to think about that and then move forward. So thank you very much.
Hey, Ed, could you tell me what roads the special road district takes care of?
Yeah, I even got a
I'm just
map.
curious.
But South Point Road, Beaker Road, Pottery Road, Diener, Diener, of course, in Echo, and Meter Lane, Krupp Lane. I don't know if I missed any. Goods Mill, there you go. So we kind of make a circle out there. You guys know the road better than I, with the snowplow, and it seems to work out pretty good. So, any other questions?
Do you do Goods Mill like from its beginning to the end of it? Or is there a spot, like you were saying, like on Pottery Road, your line is somewhere on the road? You know, you don't go all the way, the southern part of Pottery Road is in the county, and you always go ahead and blade that?
Yeah.
Is there a spot along like Goods Mill Road or any of those roads where you stop with your maintenance?
Can you guys shed some light, Bernie, can you shed some light on that?
I'm just curious. I mean, I think it's a good question from Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We don't know.
I'm not dodging your question, I just.
No, I know, but we don't know.
I didn't understand what you were saying. I can't hear that too good.
Okay, well, Steve had asked what roads does the special road district address, and he gave us a list, and my question is, do you address Goods Mill Road all the way to where Goods Mill Road ends, or is there a stopping point, you know?
What road?
On Goods Mill Road.
Goods Mill Road.
It's a stopping point a little bit past Bethlehem Church Road.
Would that be the end of Franklin County?
That's where the county starts.
Okay.
There's a sign there.
Okay, all right. I was just out that way yesterday. I missed the sign, but I know where you're talking about.
You
Okay,
got to go back
right.
left of Bethlehem Church Road for a little ways, and there's a sign there. That's how far we go.
Okay.
Bernie, do you know how many miles
I got
the
road-
county does?
I got the road list here. Want me to say it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Please.
DuBois Lane, 0.3 miles. South Point Road, 1.6 miles. North Goods Mill Road, 2.9 miles. Beaker Road, 3.9 miles. Bethlehem Church Road, 1.2 miles. Pottery Road, 2.2 miles. Oakgrave Road, 1.3 miles. Diener Road, 0.8 miles. Echo Lane, 0.6 miles. Eleanor Lane, 0.2 miles. Mealer Lane, 1.5 miles. Bluff Road, 0.3 miles. And Cup Lane, 1.6 miles. And that totals up to 18.4 miles. Is that what you need?
Okay, what was what was the last one you
Diener Road.
said?
Diener.
After Bluff?
Pardon?
What was after Bluff?
Diener.
Bluff, Cup Lane.
Cup Lane.
KOPP.
Yeah, Cup. And how far was that?
1.6.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I don't write that fast. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's
I
okay.
can give you a copy. if
That's
you want
fine.
it.
Thank
That'd be
you.
good.
Okay.
If you could give Gina a copy of that, that would be great.
We're just,
If you could give Gina a copy of that, that would be great.
Yeah, okay.
Bernie, we're just curious of the roads and the miles. And also, if somebody, can you tell me how many trucks you have that take care of these roads?
We got one large truck. It's not a tandem, but it's a single axle dump truck. And we got two smaller trucks. And we got backhoe. And I think that's all we got, if I remember right. We had more, but we got rid of it because we had a road grader at one time, but you don't do that anymore. See, everything's blacktop. I think that's all the equipment. Oh, we got a boom mower. We got a boom mower to mow the weed and stuff along the road. Yeah.
Is Mealer Road and KK, is that one of your buildings out there?
No,
That's the state.
MoDOT?
it's MoDOT's building.
MoDOT's building.
Yeah. Ours is all up there by the old water tower on Pottery Road, or that ain't Pottery. Yeah.
It's in the city limits here on Clay Street.
Yeah, Clay Street, that's where it's at, yeah, yeah. Any more questions?
Anybody? Questions for Bernie?
Okay.
Any other comments from Special Road District? Any of you guys interested in?
Thank you,
John?
Bernie.
John,
Bernie, thank you. Uh-huh.
come on up to the podium, John, if you don't mind. This is all recorded, so.
I live on Bush Road and a mile from a special road district, and in the wintertime when it gets snow and ice on the road, if I can make it that mile, I can easily make it to Washington. I can go 5 miles an hour on our road and county roads, and if you get to special road district, you can go 35 miles an hour because there ain't nothing on the road no more, and it's a lot wider too. With tractors, you can go on the side of the road, and they got 4 foot in the center to look around you to see whether they can pass. There's no comparison.
Ed, up here on Clay Street where you guys have your shed up there, do you do any maintenance in the circumference of that shed, any outside or around it?
Well, we take care of it. It looks like somebody lives there.
Okay, I don't know. I don't go out there that often. I just wonder if we took care of it or if you guys took care of it yourself.
I don't think the city's taking care of anything there.
No, we all that we do is essentially provide support for solid waste pickup a couple times, every 2 or 3 months. We'll pick up the trash, that type of stuff. But I don't think we do any specific grass cutting or anything in that area.
Just out of curiosity, anybody hear any complaints from the people that live on the road about the special road districts that could be brought up and talked about? If you have any, anybody else? Bernie, come on back.
I want to bring up some stuff that happened a few years back. And I was running for commissioner at the time, and I got overwhelming praise of the road district back in that time, when the city was trying to annex some of that, and whatever it was, but there was some turmoil back then, okay? We got it straightened out. But anyway, the people were just grateful that we're staying in on it to keep their roads passable during the bad weather, the good weather, and everything else. And none of them had any complaints to me. I don't ever receive any complaints at all, and I think Ed said the same thing. You know, we're there waiting for the phone call, but they don't, you know, they don't have to. We know what has to be done, and then we've got the people that can do it. And I think it's a great advantage to the city that they can get out in their vehicle and head to town and do their thing. Like Ed said, they don't pay no extra tax. Nobody pays extra tax. That money stays right in the Washington area and the road district area. That's where it stays. It's spent in there. It's not taken someplace else and spent, which is nothing wrong with, but that's what the county has to do. But we keep what we got and spend it where what we got there, road district. And sometimes we would help the city, but not very often anymore. Here lately, they didn't request any help, so we didn't have to give any, but we would if they would request it. So, and vice versa, they would help us if we would request their help.
Bernie, do you still live on, is it South Point Road?
Yes,
And does the county start around your house there somewhere?
around my house?
Oh, out in front of your house, is that where the county starts?
No, no, the county road starts up there at Jim Peters,
Okay.
and then it goes all the way to Beaker Road.
But Darren, when we take care of, like, say Stonecrest for snow removal, do we take care of Pottery Road while we're going there?
We don't take care of the, I'm not, it'd be news to me if we took care of like South Point Road, but what the stretch he's talking about is there by,
Jim Peters signs?
well, yeah, where Jim Peters signs, and then you go up to where we've got Stonecrest intersects with, what's the Fairfield?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Subdivision right across the street, because both of those.
Thoroughbred Drive.
Subdivisions are in city limits, and then it continues on in either county or special road district maintenance.
North Goods Mill?
Till you get, well, yeah, probably beyond that, probably, but I'm just saying it goes past that second entrance into Stonecrest.
Okay.
So, and your question was,
I'm just wondering where, starting where it began or ended
oh, yeah.
from the city versus the
It
county.
starts there on
Jim Peters, yeah.
there, and-
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Bernie. Anybody else?
Yeah?
Darren?
Well, since Bernie mentioned help, I thought I'd go ahead and just let the committee be aware of the fact. We recently did request funds from the Special Road District. According to our legal counsel, I guess, the city can go ahead and request up to 25% of their funds that they get. As you probably, as this board's probably aware of, they receive both personal property and real property, and that's how they receive their revenue every year. Just to give you some numbers, just so you guys have an idea of what those, I've got these from the last 3 years. We requested this from the county a couple of months back. Total revenue, and I'll give you from 2016 to up to 2018, 3 sets of numbers here. Total revenue in 2016 was $710,185. Of that, property owners within the city limits provided $640,646 of those dollars. People outside the city limits that's still in the road district then provided $69,538. 2017, the total revenue number was $734,628. Revenue from property owners within the city limits, of that was $659,141. And residents outside the city limits within the district paid into that $75,487. 2018, it was $745,048. Revenue from, again, property owners within the city limits was $667,468. Revenue from non-city residents, again, was $77,580. So approximately 90% of the revenue that the Special Road District receives comes from property owners within the city limits. And again, as I said, we can request, and they do not have to go ahead and abide by that, but because they can keep all of that money for those 18-plus mile roads, but they can go ahead and expend up to 25% back to the city for projects within the city limits. So we did request 25% of each one of those 3 fiscal years that I just asked for, which totaled up $547,465. Now, we spend approximately, over that same time frame, we expended about over $4 million in funds for transportation projects throughout the city. John gave me some numbers with regards to, of that, $1.2 million came from city funds. The rest of it we received, we got grant funds of $2.4 million from STP grants for a total of $3.7. How you get up to the $4 million is also the maintenance and stuff that we do for our roadways within town. So I'm just trying to give you an idea of some of the numbers. I don't dispute the job that the Special Road District has done on any of the roads. That's not what, the idea is, how do we go ahead and equally share or have a more equitable amount of sharing those revenue funds from where they come from? That's the only question. And so we would like to go ahead and start an ongoing dialogue with the Special Road District for how we do projects down the future and how we can go ahead and get a portion of those revenues. That's it. Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
There's another hand over here a while ago. Question?
Mr. Rico.
Yes.
Morning.
Good
Morning.
Dave Regal. I live out on Bethlehem Church Road, and we run a dairy out there, and we have nothing bad to say about the Special Road District. They do a really good job, and we use a lot of white equipment doing our business across the river with the farming, and when they widen a road, it really helped the safety of our equipment going back and forth. And as far as snow removal, they do the best job that you can ever imagine. And if it was just our personal homes, it wasn't so bad, but there's a lot of doctors out there that need to make it to the hospital, and my wife personally, a nurse, and we've made it every time, thanks to them. Plus, with the dairy, we've got a lot of equipment, transport trucks coming in around the clock, hours of the night, when most of the roads aren't cared for as much. We've got employees coming throughout the night till early in the morning. Plus, like I say, we transport our milk back and forth, and Anheuser-Busch brings a lot of products out, and the Special Road District keeps the road open for us, and we really appreciate it. They do a good job, and I'm not saying that everybody else doesn't deserve the same thing, but our cows don't wait, and we got to make things happen. And as far as the directors, I think they're the most dedicated people that you could ever ask for. Ed and Bernie do a really nice job. And as far as their amount of work they do with not getting paid is awesome. They deserve a pat on the back. A really nice job. And as far as the blading of the snow and stuff, we've got a road that connects, and it was going out to Johnny's place, and I guess redundant on what he says. The Special Road District will have ours plowed, and it'll be a day or 36 hours before the county comes through. And I don't say the county's not doing a bad job. They're just spread thin over the area they need to travel, and with the equipment they've got. And for them to take on an extra load of doing our roads, the 18 miles also, if they say they can handle it, I've got a little speculation on that, because I don't think you can do that amount of road in the same amount of time. It's just going to take longer for everybody to get their roads cleared. And that's all I've got to say. Any questions? Or
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
I want to just add one thing, Bill, if I got time.
You bet.
The way the taxes are, and I went to Union the other day to find out, that the people in the city of Washington pay the same taxes as anybody else, and their money that they pay in, 25% goes right back to the city. And then 20% of what's left goes to the county, and then we get the rest. And those that lived outside of the city, we get, the county gets 20% and we get the rest. So the city gets 25% off the top of what we collect.
Ed, I know that we've got the numbers here from the last 3 years, but do you have a budget that you could share with Darren, he can get it to the rest of the city councilmen?
With me, no.
I know I don't need it today, but I would like, maybe if you have a budget, I'd like to go through it and look at it, if it's okay with the rest of the group.
Well, what's thrown us different the last 5 years is we build this section of road for Pottery Road, which is a normal expenditure. But we think it's well worth it, and in another year or two, we'll get it completed, but.
Do you have an emergency fund where you have some money setting back for?
We got a little bit. Wait, 1 year we had to, we were close enough, we had to have KJ, he did that work, and had to have him wait for his money until we got tax money in December, So we're not wasting it.
But do you have a budget?
Yeah.
Okay. If you could get that, Darren, I would like to see it if you don't mind. Thank you.
Anything else, guys? Here's your chance. Donnie, Leroy, either one of you, both of you, same time. Get them both, team up. No, go ahead, both, either one.
Hi, Donnie.
My name's Don Meyer. I live out on South Point, which connects the Beaker Road out there. And I don't know who's going to take care of the road if you would dissolve the Washington Special Road District. But I'll tell you one thing, there's nobody else that's going to take care of it better than these guys do. They're out there 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and they'll stay out there till it gets done. And I can take Beaker Road or I can take South Point Road, and they're both very passable. And I want to tell you something. People of the city of Washington do get use out of these tax dollars, because I live on South Point Road, and I bet at least 50% of the people that come by my house probably live in Stonecrest. I don't have any statistics on that, but they do get use out of your tax money. So, thank you.
Very good, thanks, Don. Leroy.
My name is Leroy Stropman, and I live on Goods Mill Road. And myself and Jim Meyer went around to get the signatures to get this thing into the Washington Special Road District. We had no trouble at all. Everybody was happy that we had come around and got the signatures and got it on through. And we have had no complaints. Nobody ever has come back and said, hey, I wish you wouldn't have never done that or anything else. It was a well-approved system. The whole thing works well. The roads are graded, as Donnie says, they're up there early in the morning and late at night. It don't make no difference. And so we are all well satisfied with what we got. And if it ain't broke, surely don't fix it if it ain't gonna save us any money. So I would like to keep it the way it is. Thank you.
Hey, so I'm just learning about special road districts over the last few years. So how long has the special road district been around?
I don't know, it was there before.
1930s? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's all.
We got in sometime in 70s, I guess. 70s when we got in. But you just have to go around and the county, when we went to the county and asked, I don't know who the commissioners were, between Griesheimer and some of the other ones, but they said, heck, you can take over the whole county if you wanted. We're glad to get rid of it,
Yeah.
you know, and so that we don't have to blade the roads.
Okay, so if it start, and really, I'm sorry, you know,
Yeah,
I'm
no
kind
problem.
of dense sometimes.
No
So
problem.
anyway, if it started in the 30s, but then in the 70s you came in, so did the boundary expand then? Is that what happens? Like,
Yes.
for instance, so for today, okay, so if the special road district could, if you went to people like a mile beyond all these roads that we currently are talking about, you could then bring in additional people to the special road district?
Sure.
Or you could expand your
Well,
boundaries?
we had some talk about Bluff Road coming in, but nobody takes the bull by the horns and does the work to get it done. You know, we can't, as a special road district, go out and solicit it. But,
But you solicited it as a resident?
Right.
Okay,
And-
I've got to just get this,
And there were some good reasons for it. We made a circle.
yeah.
It went out South Point and then hit Goods Mill and went all the way back around Bethlehem Church and then over to Beaker Road and back down to South Point. It was a
A circle,
complete circle. It worked out well.
okay. Well, thank you, because I kind of was under the impression that whatever the boundaries were today, that's what they would be later, you know, that could never change. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
I was out on all those roads yesterday, because we went to dinner at St. John's, and I saw all kinds of things out there, so anyway.
John?
Can I just get some clarity? Darren, you talked about, you know, having the city request up to 25%, and then this gentleman mentioned that, I thought it was this gentleman that said that 25% of the taxes actually do go from the city residents. 25% is going to the district, 20% goes to the county, and then, 20% goes to the city, 20% goes to the county, and the rest goes to the special road district. Can we clarify with this 25% and the taxing?
I think the clarification needs to be is like when they get the road and bridge tax from the county, there's a portion of that that's set aside. This is that's a sales tax, correct, Tim?
Yes.
So that's a sales tax. That's what they're talking about. That's a separate pot of money.
Okay.
The money that I was talking about earlier when I was giving you those numbers,
Right.
that's purely based on the property tax that's collected. And right now, as I said, approximately 90% of that comes from property owners within the city limits to pay for those things. And we can request up to 25% of that back towards city projects.
So the 25% they're talking about is sales tax, 25%? Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Hearing none, we'll move on. I think I missed Corey Schmidt.
He said he had no report.
You had no report? Very good, thank you. I didn't want to miss you on that. Old Highway 100 Bridge, what's the contest? What do we got on that?
Old Highway 100 Bridge?
Yeah, so the city, I don't know if you've been on that part of town lately, but we did some work at Old Highway 100 and East Fifth Street to repair some of the damage done by the concrete trucks that utilize, you know, coming from obviously the concrete plant, which services the entire county, or the entire region. So one thing that we noticed is the bridge next to the water treatment plant, the wastewater treatment plant, is not it's not under the city jurisdiction. That I believe is a county bridge. Correct, Commissioner? It could be a special road district bridge. I don't think it is, but that is actually a county bridge that goes over DuBois Creek, I believe, at that location. It is I believe, a weight restricted bridge that does lead into the city, and there was just wanted to start the dialogue, I guess, of where that bridge sits as far as getting replaced, because it is a vital function, especially with the school district going out there, things of that nature in the future, about, you know, what can be done, what can we all work together to get done, to get that bridge essentially back to where it needs to be. The city, obviously, and I know the county, you know, understands how vital it is to get those concrete trucks in and out. And we noticed that, like I said, we were doing our repairs to the intersection, that we had to phase that because trucks could not go over top of that bridge because of its structural deficiency. So this is more of just a way to where we could talk about that and figure out how we all work together to get that taken care of, and just to let basically the citizens know that, you know, the city does not have jurisdiction over that bridge.
Yeah, and that's a good point. The issue, being a weight-restricted bridge, isn't as great right now as it is the issue of the road sinking to the east of the bridge. And we budgeted at the county level $150,000 to do a soils test / boring study on that area. If you drive out there, you'll notice there's been so much asphalt put on there, it's almost the same level as the doggone guardrail. And I brought that up in the highway budget meeting last Wednesday, and it's going to be and has been made a priority to get that established. But if we're going to put a new bridge in, we're going to make darn sure the road beyond the bridge is going to be stable and satisfied. So what we're going to do is look at that. And also, there's some confusion as to the ownership of that bridge, as to, is it a special road district? Because the boundaries on the map say it is, but I get feedback saying it isn't. So we're going to find out from legal as to who has what. That being said, the road needs to be addressed, and that's what's happening currently, and it's being expedited in terms of the soil study. Once we establish the stability or what the issue is, there's a term called blue mud that's been thrown out there. It's just like a bottomless sinkhole. You keep throwing asphalt on top of the road, it keeps settling. Well, you build up, and it keeps, So we're going to find out what it is down there that we can build something up from. And years ago, we did do this. Evidently, it was dug up, and I don't know, to the tune of 31 feet, and it still sinks and repacked. And so we might have to go even further to, no pun intended, sink some more money into. So.
Well, I appreciate you guys putting that on top of your list, because with this new school coming in out there on an old 100, for the safety of them kids and fire and ambulance, probably ought to be a top priority.
Yeah, well, that's very true. Although I could imagine a school bus going that versus Highway 100, but I understand your concern.
Where's St. John's Road as far as the rural district?
You mean the newly paved St.
Yeah.
John's Road the county did?
I
I'm
asked
just
that
asking.
question yesterday as I was driving out to St. John's for the thing. I was in the car, and I said, now, whose road is this? This is really nice.
Got
So,
$150,000 budget for
Very
striping,
good
too.
job,
It's going to
Tim.
occur soon. We just got to get the striping contractor out there now.
Fantastic.
good.
Fantastic. That's all county. That's all county,
Yeah.
obviously. It's not the districts at this point.
No.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, did a nice job on it. I was going to compliment him. Anybody else for anything? Anything?
Bill?
Yes.
I know that in the past, when this originally started with, was it Bernie Hillerman?
Transportation, yes.
Yeah.
Bernie.
If I remember correctly, they started their meetings at 7 a.m.
We did.
And then we went to 8 a.m., and then Judy came in, and then we went to 9 a.m. Well, I spoke with Steve this morning, and he has no problem with us going back to 8 a.m. meetings, so I'd like to make a motion that we go back to the 8 a.m. meetings.
Second.
I'll third that.
I don't know if we need to take a vote on it, but
We can take a vote on it, all the members who are on the committee, if that's your choosing. Say aye.
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 Ayes have it. No? Anybody know?
Thank you,
Very good.
Steve.
Steve,
You're a rock star.
Thank you,
for just-
Steve.
That was,
get up
that
early.
Steve really is.
one day a month he's going to suffer for us, not shave.
He's an
Appreciate it.
exception. He comes in from the same area as Judy, and yet he's an early bird, and Judy wasn't. Judy had other things going on. So he was the first one to be in favor of it, and I think it's great. Get it to
Good
a
idea.
8 o'clock meeting.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, bet.
Jern?
Anything else? Anybody want to bring forward? Darren, anything? Anybody?
Well, Mr. Chair, will the special road district be an item on the agenda from this point forward? Because I think it's a great benefit that folks get exposed to all.
Oh, well, I think that was kind of our plan, and that way we have more communication.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think it's what it's all about.
And I think so, and Ed has always given us a report whenever there's something that is pertaining to the special road district and whatever. So, yes, we can put it on the agenda as an item, because it is so important. to this
Absolutely.
whole area.
It's important to the area. It's the Washington area transportation.
As a director of the rural fire district, we also want to commend both sides of the roads or whatever. Again, there's where tax money and where you live and where the taxes go is another example. I mean, the rural fire district really relies on Washington's equipment and Washington's teamwork. And yet, we all get benefits from it. And the rural fire district really, it really became, I didn't realize what they cover and what they do and how important that association has been with the city of Washington and with the regular fire district, the fire district. I don't know how we did without it. And that funding, basically, almost half of it goes back to the city, which the city was covering at 100% anyway. Quite honestly, they were covering everything out of the taxpayers. Now at least we are participating, and if you have anybody that has concerns in that rural fire district, if you choose to bring it to this committee, I'd be glad to make it a public record if you have any concerns. I know we have public meetings once a month. The rural fire district has meetings once a month. The rural fire district has actually gotten in the last, we have a new fire truck being delivered, probably, hopefully, this week. That's the rural fire district money that came in. We have a new tanker that was put in service 6 months ago, 8 months ago, maybe a year ago. That was over $500,000. So we got $1 million between these two pieces of equipment that is helping to share to pay for fire suppression, fire coverage, or whatever in all of our areas. And I think particularly the farmers who have big assessments and taxes and whatever, and insurance can appreciate now they've got solid coverage, that your insurance rates should be less as a result of having this additional coverage. So both these associations of the rural roadways, rural fire, I think are important for this community, and that's what we are. That's what makes us different. So,
Okay.
any other comments? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to,
I'll make it.
okay, we have a motion to.
We have a motion, and a second?
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys for coming. Thank you all.
Thank you. Got to get to another spot here.
When did you say strapping was?